everyone. Thanks for tuning in for just a few minutes. I'm Lois Carrier. I'm the president of Worthwhile Wealth Counsel, and we are a fee-only certified financial planning firm. Love working with our clients and would love to talk to you if you're ever interested in finding out things you might not have known about your money or the market. But today, I'm going to talk about something very important and definitely a part of all of our lives and of the world, and that's the topic ebb and flow. I read a leadership article a couple of weeks ago and it was so interesting, talking about the ebb and flow of life, and that there's days as leaders we just come in, or anybody, we just get things done, we knock that task list out, we just got energy and we're moving, and maybe the next day we just can't hardly lift a thumb, and we always resist that. At least I do. I resist. Wait a minute, I remember, don't do that, because you are a human being, and as human beings, our life, everything about us is going to ebb and flow. So I wanted to mention that because I read an article that I'm going to share with you about the stock market. The stock market goes up, the stock market goes down. Now most of you would think, no, it goes like this and goes like that, but it doesn't. It ebbs and flows, and many times we don't want it to ebb. Even when it returns way above its average of 8 to 10%, even when it's way up there, we can't seem to get it in our head that if it's way up there, it's going to go way down there to reach its ebb and flow. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And I kind of was reading in Ecclesiastes, and I love the chapter when it's talking about there's a time to plant and there's a time to uproot. There's a time to build, there's a time to tear down. There's a time to plant, and there's a time to rip up the field and let it go to fallow. And so that's life. It's ebb and flow. And how many of you love to go to the ocean and just sit there and watch that ocean coming in and going out, coming in and going out? It's so peaceful. And when we live our lives with the ebb and flow of our hearts, with everything that is among us, everything we breathe ebbs and flows. So I wanted to go back and just let us look over. We're probably concerned right now. We're in a war. Well, we're not, but there's war. What's happening with the stock market? Well, the stock market is in a time of ebb, and that's okay, because what I wanted you to do is go back with me to think about how many other times was the market ebbing and flowing, but still gave us a good return. So I did a little history, went back and looked at the different decades, because a 10-year period of time is a pretty good period of time that you can count on. So going back to 1930 to 39, if any of you remember any of these decades, try to remember the worst thing that happened during that decade. Something that would have probably just knocked the market out, you would have thought. So 1930 to 39, the market only returned 5.3%, and most of us remember why. 1940 to 1949, it had a 10.3% return. 1950 to 59, 20.8%. That was after World War II. That's the type of thing we saw after the pandemic. And then 1960 to 69, remember that? Okay, 8.7%. 1970 to 79, 7.5%. Not too bad. 80 to 89, you ready? 18.2%. 1990 to 99, 18.8%. And then we had 2000 to 2009. Now, if you remember, that was the lost decade. It took a snapshot of the S&P 500 and said, lost decade, no return during that period of time. And we all remember that that was a horrible time. But just a few months later, it was no longer a lost decade. So we'll talk about that more another time. And then from 2010 to 2019, we've had a good return of 13.9%. I wanted just to go over the decades, because sometimes when we're ebbing and flowing, we don't recognize that it's a huge process. And if we narrow in and look at just one little focus point, that's not giving us the entire picture. Usually the market is going to do whatever it does over that 10-year period. And so I wanted to encourage you, just in case you needed it, and also maybe give you a lesson for life that I learned rereading that article. Lois, stay calm when you're ebbing. Just accept it, because guess what? The time of flow will come, and that's just the way the world is, and we need to try to fit in it. At least I do. Hope this has been helpful. I look forward to talking to you again. Lois Carrier, Certified Financial Planner. Take care.